the final tonight. And the best team in baseball wins it all in 2018.
For the first hit. Rutschman into right field. Down the line. A fair ball. Adley will turn first. Head for second. He's going to turn second. Go for third. Rutschman into third base standing. An extra base hit. His first hit in the major leagues. Welcome to the...
Those are long pitch innings, I think. Blister, that's what you wanted to make sure.
Here's a high fly ball into right. Back is Betts on the move. On the track. He's got catch by Mookie Betts.
Now, Clifford looking for a clean inning here in the seventh.
Hit well out to right center field. Jones still on the move, running out of room, and he makes it.
As always, I'm your host, Patrick Moran, and today, or alongside Brendan Cunningham, I don't know why I forgot that part, but today we got a postseason recap for y'all. We got the AL Wildcard Series, the NL Wildcard Series, and both division series. We both took one series from each league and wrote down some takeaways and some stats like that. And right at the end, we'll give you a championship series preview, considering that at the time of recording, the championship series have not started yet in either league, so we'll preview that. But first, before we get into it, Brendan, how are you doing today? I know your Patriots lost, but the Drake May debut was not bad, as we talked about before recording.
Yeah, no, there were definitely some bright spots in it. Even though we lost by about 20 points, I think. Drake May showed a lot of promise, and that's a good thing. I know your Ravens got the dub though.
That is true. We own the Beltway still. That's very important to note. Jane Daniels, maybe a scam artist. We don't know. But anyway, we're not a football podcast. As always, we are a baseball podcast. So let's get straight into it. So, fortunately, the first series that we're going to be recapping today is the Kansas City Royals and the Baltimore Orioles. This series was held at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Royals won this series 2-0. Yeah, it was not fun to watch from my perspective. Royals won the first game 1-0. The win went to Cole Reagans, and the loss, unfortunately, went to Corbin Burns. And Lucas Urseg picked up the save. This was not a great game. I mean, Cole Reagans just dominated the whole time. I mean, Corbin Burns dominated as well. He only gave up one run if you pull up the stat lines for both pitchers. For Corbin Burns, he went 8 full innings, allowing 5 hits, 1 run. It was earned, a walk, and 3 Ks. Obviously didn't have the strikeout stuff, but still very, very effective in shutting down the Kansas City Royals. And then for Cole Reagans, he went 6 innings, giving up 4 hits, no runs, no walks, and 8 Ks. I mean, it was really in this whole series, the Orioles offense flatlined, and they especially did it in that first game getting shut out. Lucas Urseg, as we mentioned, picked up the save. It was a great pitcher's duel, but fortunately the Orioles could not pick that one up. And then in the second game, it was 2-1. This is probably the most uneventful series out of all of them. Zach Eflin, the starter for the Orioles, he went 4 innings, giving up 4 hits, 1 run. It was earned, a walk, and 3 Ks. Not a bad start for Eflin. Could have gone a little bit further, but I understand, trying to play some matchups and some bullpen manipulation in an elimination game for Brandon Hyde. And then we'll go to the Royals side as well. Seth Lugo started that game. He went 4 1/3, 5 hits, a run. It was earned, 1 walk, and 6 Ks. He had a lot of home run to Cedric Mullins. Angel Zerpa was the winning pitcher in that game. Cianel Perez on the losing end, and then Lucas Urseg picked up his second consecutive save. O's offense is pretty much silent that whole series, like I mentioned. I mean, they didn't do anything. They did not do anything. The pitching did its job, allowing 3 runs across 2 games, but the offense only scoring one run in those 2 games is really disappointing for Baltimore. And we actually did an MVP and an LVP for all the series. So we have a most valuable player and then a least valuable player. I could have said Bobby Wood Jr. and he was pretty good in that series. I went with Lucas Ursegda. I mean, he just shut the door in the 9th inning, 2 consecutive days, which was very impressive. And he looked like a dog out there. I mean, he had the stuff going. He was fired up after both wins. It was frustrating for me as a fan, but that's if you're just a general baseball fan, he put on a huge performance in both games, even though it was in a 1-inning spurt, and that's why I went with him for MVP of the series, and he picked up 2 saves. For my least valuable player, I kind of think I had a co-LVP. I went with Anthony Santander and Adley Rutschman. I think Santander, I can make the argument for him just because I feel like he could have had a bigger series, and he put up 40 plus homers in 2024, and did not translate into 2 games in the wild card. And then Adley as well. I felt like Adley was a little bit passive in some moments where he shouldn't have been, and I understand he got hosed on a strike call, but that's Adley. I think should have been probably a more aggressive hitter, patiently aggressive, as some may call it. And unfortunately, he was not, coming off kind of a not great year, not really up to the standard that he set for himself. But I don't think any of the Orioles were, and I was just super disappointed to watch from a Baltimore offense that at one point was really prolific, and they just got shut down by Kansas City in a series that I think was very winnable as Kansas City advanced from there. Any takeaways for you on that end?
I mean, I didn't really watch these a lot, but I, saw the scores. I saw the box scores. It definitely feel like what I saw, the Orioles offense was a non-factor.
Yeah.
And I asked you before. I'm just kind of wondering, like, what do you think is the next step for this Orioles team?
Well, the next step, I mean, obviously, like entering the series and kind of, just kind of in general, the pitching has always been behind the hitting. And in this series, the pitching displayed a lot. And I was really proud of our pitching. The bullpen held up really well in the second game. And then obviously Corbin Burns just dominated. We don't know if Corbin Burns is coming back. Obviously, the Orioles are going to open up the checkbook with new ownership and David Rubenstein and his crew. There is going to be more money invested into this team, but I don't know if they're willing to shell out the money that is going to be needed to get Corbin Burns back in an Oriole uniform in 2025. But I don't know, maybe veteran bats. I would really say that's the only thing. Like, as talented as the O's have had these young hitters, they're pretty inexperienced on that front. You think about a Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Colton Cowser, Kobe Mayo, who's waiting in the wings, Heston Kjerstad, who's kind of been blocked a little bit. Yes, these guys are all talented, and we know that they're going to be great players, whether they're Orioles or not. They're young and they're inexperienced, and I think that's what's hurt the Orioles not only in this postseason but in the past 2 postseasons. You saw it in Texas as well. It just felt like the team was young and the lights got too bright. And well, I think the Orioles had more experience this year. I mean, they did have more experience, but they could have shown that a little bit more. But yeah, it's really the only thing I would say is kind of bring in the veteran guys in the right spots. Or maybe it is just kind of waiting it out 1 or 2 more years and letting these guys get more experience and more comfortable under the bright lights. But yeah, other than that, I mean, this team's gonna get healthier. This team is obviously hurt with Kyle Bradish, John Means, Ty Wellsby. Now those are 3 big pieces in the rotation that could have been huge. But you're gonna have Bautista coming back as well. He's a full go for spring training, which is fantastic. Yeah, I think on the pitching side where, it is not as strong as the bats, it's a unit that's going to get healthier, and I think that's really important. But they also are going to need to address the bullpen and the rotation, I would think.
Okay. So, I'll move on to the next series that I have, which is the other American League, which is Detroit versus Houston. Houston was the home team here, and Detroit beat them 2-0.
Yeah.
So I think this is, kind of surprised from Detroit. They game one, they definitely shut this Houston offense down. I think the entire series, 3 runs combined for the Astros here. And I think that'll just bring me into the MVP. And I took a Tariq Skubal, who, no surprise, shut this
Yeah.
Houston offense down. 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. Just an amazing outing in game one to just kind of give you that first step in these wildcard series of 3 games. That's always important. To win that first game, it helps a lot. It's very easier to end up advancing. And then game 2, they did it again, holding them to 2 runs. That was behind a bunch of guys. Pretty much everybody stepped in. They all had great outings, except for one guy. But it was just a combined effort in game 2 for the pitching and the offense. The offense was good. I know Kerry Carpenter had a good series, and so they were batting around. They were doing their stuff. And then for the LVP, I had to go with Kyle Tucker. I think he had a rough series. He couldn't find a hit here. He had 2 strikeouts and a walk. Which is not what you're looking for from the Houston offense. As your number 2 hitter, or number 2 hitter in the batting order, he's one of the top guys. He had a good season, 289, 23 home runs. I mean, you just expect a lot more from him. I think this was very surprising for a lot of people. I know I picked Astros to win. I think you picked them to win this series. A lot of people thought they were going to win. They're an experienced team. They've been here before. I mean, I can't remember the last time that the Astros were in ALCS. Getting out in the first round, I think, is a real surprise from this team, and I think it raises the questions: is this core? Is it too old? Is it time to, Jordan Alvarez, I know, is still a stud, but is Altuve? Is he not that guy anymore? Is Bregman? You just got to ask the questions: is this? Are we exiting this era of Astros baseball dominance and some cheating, but mostly dominance in the American League, where they had a great run. So it's surprising, they lost this young Detroit team, and good for Detroit. That's a huge win for them. I don't think anyone saw that coming. But it's definitely raising more questions for the Astros.
For sure. I mean, it's like you mentioned, that people are bringing into question, is this dynasty over? Bregman's going to walk at the end of this year. He's set to hit the open market, and Altuve is in his later 30s, and while he still is amazing, it's age is certainly going to be a factor in these coming years, and it just it didn't feel like the same Astros team, and that was really the big thing. And obviously the Tigers were able to shock the world. You mentioned Tariq Skubal, who just straight up dominated. I think the Astros might be in a readjustment period. I don't think this is going to be the same Astros team that we know that, goes to the ALCS every year, kind of gatekeeps the American League. You got to get through the Astros to get to the World Series. So I don't think it's going to be the same. I think this kind of proved it. And, they're still going to be a perennial playoff team. They're still going to be very good. It's just, they're not going to assert dominance. And, it's going to be hard to doubt them in the postseason still, but I don't think it's as surefire as, maybe it once was. What do you think? You think the dynasty is over?
I think it's definitely on the tail end. I mean, the core is it's aging and people are leaving. It leaves this American League open for teams like the Orioles, Yankees, maybe Tigers, Royals. It's
Guardians.
These Guardians. Maybe the Red Sox.
It's
just
never
kind of take this. Who's going to be the next perennial ALCS team? I don't think a team's going to do it like the Astros did it. I mean, it was every year for them. But, just could kind of be that consistent team in the ALCS or team in the American League that people look at and say that's the best team in the American League.
Right. And you mentioned some of the teams kind of on the outside looking in. You mentioned the Red Sox, and, there's also like the Twins and the Mariners. Like, those are teams that got really close. And, they made it interesting at the end of the year. Maybe not so much the Red Sox, but the Red Sox, fun future, and the Twins still a solid enough team, and then the Mariners obviously with an incredible pitching staff. It's easy for the Astros to win their division because it's a pretty winnable division, but they got a lot of teams on their heels, like you mentioned. So I think that's kind of the big thing to take into consideration. But shout out the Tigers, gritty Tigers, 0.1% chance to make the playoffs on August 11th, which is pretty insane. So shout out the Tigers. Next series, we'll go on over to the NL side of the bracket. Unfortunately, I had the less exciting one. Brendan got a great wild card series to recap. I checked in on the Braves and Padres. That was my series to recap, and the Braves won it. Or no, not the Braves. Padres won it 2-0. They swept the Braves out of town. And I will say it kind of just felt like the Braves were out of gas. I mean, they grinded their way into the postseason, and they were put in an incredibly tough spot. They had to play the Mets in a doubleheader on the Monday before the postseason started. Just fighting and clawing their way just to get that fifth spot, and they were just kind of overmatched. It just looked like the wind was out of the sails. There wasn't any more wind for the sails. But yeah, anyway, first game, Padres win it 4-0. If we look at the box score, AJ Smith-Shawver came up. He got 1.1 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 runs. All of them were earned, a K and a home run. He got handed the loss. And then on the Padres side, Michael King, folks, got the win. 7 innings of shutout baseball, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 12 punch-outs for Michael King. I mean, that was a truly incredible performance, sparing the bullpen a ton. And, that was really the story. Obviously, Tatis had a home run in that game, which sent San Diego into a frenzy as well. And now we look at game 2. So for the Braves, Max Fried went 2 innings, got handed the loss, 8 hits, 5 runs, 5 of them, all 5 earned, no walks, 2 Ks, and a home run. And then for the Padres, kind of had a little bit of a bullpen day by Joe Musgrove. He was still healthy through in this game. 3.2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 run. It was earned, no walks, 4 Ks. A pretty solid outing for Joe Musgrove. And then a lot of bullpen arms. Brian Hoeing, Jeremiah Estrada, Tanner Scott, Chase Adam, and Ranger Robert Torres came in behind him in a 5-4 win for the Padres. And what are my other notes here? For the MVP, I went with Michael King just for that incredible performance, and Fernando Tatis Jr. just bringing the energy to San Diego. And then least valuable player, kind of tough for the Braves just because there's so much slack you can give them. I went with Max Fried. I think Max Fried definitely could have been better in that spot. I mean, he's been there before with the Braves, who have been a perennial playoff team for sure, and for most of his time, a perennial, division winner. And he just didn't. He didn't bring his A game, and that is what ultimately killed the Padres, or killed the Braves. So, and he is set to hit the open market as well. So that's not going to leave any Braves fans with hope. And he's leaving Atlanta on a negative note, which is really disappointing. And not a lot to take away from this series. It was pretty straightforward. I mean, the Padres, even if the Braves didn't have the disadvantage that they had, probably still win the series. But obviously the Braves, really, really tough situation, dealt the worst hand in the worst way possible.
Yeah, tough series to the Braves. I know it's kind of a disappointing end of their season. Season with championship aspirations. They're definitely a stacked team. Eliminated the wild cards, disappointing. And then I'll move on to the only series in the wild card that went 3 games.
Yes,
In the most exciting series we've had so far.
Yeah.
was the Milwaukee Brewers versus the New York Mets, in which the New York Mets, Milwaukee was a home team, and New York Mets beat them 2-1. And an really exciting series. I hope everyone who's a baseball fan watched this because this was really exciting to watch.
Yeah.
I'll go through it. So game one, Mets win 8-4. It was kind of shootout, a lot of runs. Like to see that. Severino, not a bad outing, six innings, 3 runs for him. And then on the Brewers side, Peralta didn't have the best, and then guys after him couldn't get it done really, and then that kind of slipped away. But then it got interesting game 2. Brewers fought back. Churio had a real nice 2 home run game. That's a really nice young player, and that was a heck of a game he had. And then the Mitchell home run, the Garrett Mitchell home run that put them ahead, I think. That was, it might have been the other way around, Churio. I forget which one put him ahead, but that was a big one. I remember that, watching that. So that was, that was legit. But then the most exciting out of them all was the final game, which was, I think it was like a 0-0 game, or maybe 1-1. It was tied for most of the game, and late in the game, Milwaukee broke ahead, back-to-back home runs from Jake Bowers and Sal Frelick. So that was exhilarating. If you were watching that live, the crowd was going crazy. Everyone was loving it. And then the 9th rolled around, and they just needed 3 outs, 3 of them, but couldn't get it done. Pete Alonso with a home run to put the Mets up in the top of the 9th. That was incredible. If you're watching it, it was you really thought the Brewers were going to win, and it just didn't happen. They just need 3 outs. Devin Williams couldn't get it done. Their best reliever all year. He just couldn't get it done, which is incredible. So moving on to the MVP, I had to give it to Pete Alonso, of course, because he had that clutch home run. That was, kind of the biggest play all postseason we've had. So that was in the entire series. He had 222 with 1 home run, 3 RBIs, 3 walks. So very good series, man. Of course, just because of that, I had to give it to him. So that's what the postseason is about. It's about those clutch moments.
For sure.
That's what kind of makes these teams go far. And then for the LVP, I hate to do it to him, but it was Devin Williams. He just had to get 3 outs and couldn't do it. I know he had a nice outing in another game, but that kind of really stains your kind of record there, letting up that home run in a closeout game to move on. So that kind of made him get there. Hopefully he can move on, though. I know he's a great player, but that the 4 earned runs in the top of the 9th really hurts you in these playoffs. You kind of lost the game, so that's why I had to do it there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Devin Williams cost his team a ticket to the NLDS, and you're absolutely right. That's all on Devin Williams, and it's all about that one moment, and one moment can really change everything in a postseason. I mean, that home run by Pete Alonso was crazy. I mean, that game stayed tied for so long, and they had the back-to-back home runs from Milwaukee, and then you had the Pete Alonso home run, and it was madness at the end. And I believe the Jake Bowers home run was the first home run by a pinch hitter in the 7th inning or later in a scoreless ball game in the postseason ever, if I have that correctly. I might be wrong about the scoreless ball game thing, but I mean, he had some crazy stat for that, and the Mets magic, folks. It is real, and we'll get to that a little bit more. OMG, Grimace, Hawk Tua, whatever you want to call it. A lot of different, little mojo items and things, but Mets have it right now. They are riding the hot hand. That is for sure. My next series, Detroit and Cleveland. This was kind of my exciting series of the episode right here. Or maybe not. I'd say the Padres and the Dodgers are more exciting, but we'll get more to that later. But yeah, Tigers, Guardians. Guardians' first series of the year for them, or of the postseason. And in the first game, they won 7-0. They jumped all over Tyler Holton, who was opening the ball game. He didn't record an out. He got 4 earned runs and 1 walk, and it was bad. And the Tigers were just playing from behind the 8 ball the whole game. I mean, shout out Reese Olson, who pitched 5 innings of 1-run ball. Probably would have been a great idea to start him, but instead, they tried to do the old chaos thing and didn't quite work. As the Guardians took them down pretty handily. Game 2 of this series, I believe the Tigers won. One. Oh no, wait. Tigers won 3-0. This was the crazy game. This was another scoreless game, a long time, and Matthew Boyd pitched really well. 4 2/3, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. The Guardians really found something with Matthew Boyd. And, Tarek Skubal, just masterclass. 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 8 Ks. And, he wiggled out of a lot of jams. But it was really the late game magic as Kerry Carpenter pinch hit to face Emmanuel Clase, and he hit a 3-run homer off Emmanuel Clase. And, Emmanuel Clase allowed 5 earned runs the whole season. And in that one game, he allowed 3. That's more than half of his total output for ERA in 2024. So that's pretty crazy. And I forgot to mention the line on the Guardians staff in the first game. It was Tanner Bybee who started this game. I do know that. And he pitched pretty well. I know we talked about kind of the chaos failing for the Tigers, but yeah, Tanner Bybee, 4 2/3, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks. He pitched really well. It was really all on Clase allowing, or no. Oh, no, never mind. That was the Guardians win. So yeah. Guardians pitching staff flat out shut him out. So, in the third game of the series, as we move to Tuesday, hold on, am I missing? Oh no, I'm not. I guess this was really alternating. Tigers won again, 3-0. As we pull up the box score. So, yeah, Tigers win 3-0. Alex Cobb started for the Guardians. 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. Both were earned, a walk and 2 Ks. Not a great outing from Alex Cobb. Kaider Montero only pitched 1 inning, and they did the whole pitching chaos, and this time it worked as the Guardians or the Tigers shut out the Guardians. Nothing too crazy about that game. And the Guardians won the 4th game of the series 5-4 as Reese Olson pitched pretty well. He went 4 innings, 5 hits, only 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 4 Ks. He continued a pretty solid postseason run. And then on the Guardians side, Tanner Bybee pitched again, 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. They're both earned, 2 walks, 3 Ks. Kind of got saved a little bit. Not the greatest outing for him. The real story was David Fry in this game. He had that big home run. He pinch hit. It was a 3-run shot, and that's really what propelled the Guardians to the victory. And then Game 5 was on Saturday, which was yesterday at the time of recording. Guardians won it 7-3, and that is what put them in the championship series. Tarek Skubal did not bring his best on an elimination game day for Detroit. He pitched 6 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks, and a home run. That home run was to Lane Thomas, who hit a grand slam, which was pretty crazy. And then for the Guardians, they kind of beat the Tigers with their own game. Matthew Boyd only went 2 innings. He looked sharp. He did not have any earned runs. 1 hit, 1 walk, and 5 Ks as well. And they let that beast of a bullpen go to work. And yeah, the Guardians will be moving on to the ALCS to play the New York Yankees, which we will get into in a little bit. For the MVP, I went with Lane Thomas. He had a great series. He had that grand slam, which I mentioned. And then least valuable player, I kind of got a little bit creative. I'm not going to blame it on Skubal, considering how good his postseason run was up until that elimination game. But yeah, Riley Green, I feel like could have been better, and he had that drop ball in Game 5, which didn't get Tarek Skubal out of the inning, which wound up being pretty pivotal. So I think a guy like Riley Green could have stepped up a little bit more. I know it's a lot of pressure to put on a young player like him, but I thought he could have been better personally.
Yeah, I think it's good picks there, good analysis. But definitely a good run for the Tigers there. Make it to the second round. It's not bad at all. Move on to
Yeah.
the other LDS series between the Royals and the Yankees. The Yankees were the home team in this. And the Yankees won it 3-1. So starting off with game one, so in game one, the Yankees did win 6-5. A close battle. On the mound, the Michael Walker started for the Royals. He 4 innings, 3 runs, not bad at all. On the bullpen after him wasn't bad. I think just the offense was okay. I think Melendez had that nice home run. That kind of gave him a boost, but the Yankees kind of outdid them. Also, a nice game, 3 for 5. Gleyber Torres with the home run too. So the Yankees took game one at home, and then 2 days later, Royals came back and they won game two, 4-2, behind Cole Reagans, 4 innings, 1 run. The bullpen after him was solid. They able to get out of that with only 2 runs from the Yankees, which is huge. Shut down this Yankees offense. And for the Yankees, Carlos Rodon with 3 2/3 inning, 4 runs, 7 strikeouts, but 7 hits too. So that just kind of blew up the game for them right at the get go. The bullpen was good from after that, but they just offense couldn't climb back from the deficit. And then game 3, the Yankees took the lead. It was a huge game to win. Game 3, to take that lead in the series is huge for them. And they did it behind Schmidt with the 4.2 innings pitched and 2 ERA. I saw both behind him with Clay Holmes and Weaver. So to get that, and it was a close one. That John Constant had that clutch home run in the top of the 8th to put them up. It was a 2-2 ball game at that point, and he launched that thing. So to put them up, that was he had a great game, 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a home run. I'll just say that kind of gave him my MVP. In the entire series, he had 375 with that 1 home run, 4 RBIs, and 2 walks. So I think so I'd say you can mention Garrett Cole because of Game 4, which I'll talk about, which was another Yankee win, 3-1. Garrett Cole, I hate to say it, shut down these Royals offense with 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 run, 4 strikeouts. And Holmes and Weaver after him were solid. So they just shut this team down after that one game. That was a kind of expected out of the Yankees. This was a young Royals team, hasn't really seen the postseason at all. And we expected the Yankees to win this, but
Yeah.
they've let us down years before. They surprised us where they have not lived up to expectations. So I think to get this win was good for them, but I'd like to see them win this ALCS to really prove me that they're a contention team. Then going to the LVP, I had to say Bobby Witt Jr. Unfortunately, I mean this was a guy all season, gonna be maybe second MVP. He was a stud all season, but this postseason was not his. He did not live up to the moment. And just in this series, he was 192 batting average with 5 strikeouts, which is not what you want to see out of your best player. You want this guy. He had a 332 batting average, 32 runs. He should be leading this team. He should not have the batting average under 200. That's probably why they lost. They got shut. This guy got shut down. He's kind of the powerhouse of your offense, and without him, they couldn't live it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean that we kind of saw it. When Bobby Witt Jr. can't really operate on his level, Royals team kind of gets weighed down, and we really saw it. He kind of got locked up whole series, and You know, the Royals weren't really built for it, and Yankees kind of backdoored their way into a series win, and that's dangerous. They got a really clean path to the World Series, which we don't like to say on this podcast, but the Yankees are in a very good position to win. But we'll see. You got to play the games, so you got to get through Cleveland, which we'll preview in a bit. On the NL side, as we move over, we switch leagues. I recap the Padres and the Dodgers. LA won this series 3-2. I thought the Padres were going to win it. That was my pick. And they didn't do it. Dodgers got over the hump. It feels like that's a hump they needed to get over, for a long time now, and they did it. So there was some very interesting interactions just off the top of Profar and Tatis and the fans. The Padres really got into it, and it wound up looking as though they got too high on their horse. They got a little bit cocky, and they just couldn't finish the job against LA. First game, 7-5 was the final score. Dodgers did pick up the win. Dylan Cease for the Padres, a little bit underwhelming. He was kind of that horse to go in game one to kick off the series for San Diego after they had to get through the wild card. 3.1 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs. They were all earned, 2 walks, 5 Ks, and a home run. That home run being allowed to Shohei Ohtani, who, finally he's made the postseason. But yeah, not a great performance by Dylan Cease. Kind of lost his team the game. Bullpen only allowed 2 runs behind him, but fortunately that was not enough for San Diego. Yoshinobu Yamamoto did not look great as either. 3 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs are all earned, 2 walks, 1 K, and a home run. It's shaky performance, but he had to bounce back in his second start, so we'll get into that. And yeah, Dodgers pretty much took this one home. We mentioned the Ohtani home run. It was very hyped up postseason debut for him, and he prevailed. Next game was a win for the San Diego Padres, 10-2 boat race for the Slam Diego Padres. For the Dodgers, Jack Flaherty went in this game. He was handed the loss. 5 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 runs are all earned, 1 walk, 2 Ks, 2 home runs for deadline acquisition Jack Flaherty. And then for the San Diego Padres, Yu Darvish went on the mound, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 2 walks, 3 Ks, no home runs. He was fantastic. And yeah, the Padres just really put it all together. Fernando Tatis Jr. had 3 RBIs. Jackson Merrill had 3 RBIs, who, by the way, just had a fantastic postseason. David Peralta picked up 2 RBIs, and then Bogarts and Kyle Higashioka had 1 RBI respectively. As the Padres picked up a big-time win. And then the series went to San Diego, and the Padres won this game as well, 6-5. Walker Buehler went for the Dodgers in this game. He pitched 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs that were all earned, a walk, no Ks, and a home run allowed. That home run was allowed to Fernando Tatis Jr., who had a unbelievable postseason as well. Walker Buehler didn't deserve a lot of the runs that he was given, but unfortunately they did get tacked on to his ERA. Michael King was not great either in this game. 5 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 Ks, 2 home runs. He allowed home runs to your boy Mookie Betts and to Oscar Hernandez. And the Padres were still able to sneak it out. It was really just a crash course of the starting pitchers in this game. So the Padres went up 2-1, and they were not able to get the win against LA. LA won the 4th game 8-0 as they were facing elimination. They went with a bullpen game. Dylan Cease went again. He would pitch 1 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 K, a home run. That home run was allowed to Mookie Betts again. And so, again, your boy is a postseason performer now. We'll see in the ALCS. Bullpen did a solid job behind him. Okay, gave up 3 earned runs across most of the game, but fortunately that was not enough as the Padres offense was pretty much shut down. And Dodgers went with the bullpen game of their own. Ryan Brazier opened up the game. He went 1 1/3 scoreless. Anthony Bonda pitched behind him. Michael Kopech, Alex Vesia, Edwin Phillips, who did pick up the win. Daniel Hudson, Blake Trinan, Landon Knack all got some work as well. Each pitcher that pitched in this game pretty much got 1 inning, and they made it work. Shut out the Padres, and it's pretty difficult to shut out that offense. As in this game, Ohtani picked up an RBI, Betts picked up 2 RBIs, Smith picked up 2 RBIs, Tommy Edman with an RBI, and Gavin Lux with 2 RBIs. And game 5, Dodgers sent this one back to Chavez Ravine, and they won 2-0. This is kind of a pitcher's duel, which is very rare for both of these offenses, but here we are. Yu Darvish on the San Diego side, he went 6 2/3, 3 hits, 2 runs. They were both earned, 1 walk, 4 Ks, 2 home runs. He pitched very well, and just unfortunately his offense was not able to get behind him. Those 2 home runs were against Kike Hernandez and Teoscar Hernandez. So they were Hernandez guys getting it done. And then on the Dodgers pitching front, Yoshinobu Yamamoto did get a bounce back start. 5 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 2 Ks, just big enough. The fact that he was able to go 5 scoreless in a game like this, and the bullpen was able to pick it up behind him. Blake Trinan got the save, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto got the win as the Dodgers finally did it. They got over the hump, and Mookie Betts had a pretty nice series. He is not my MVP though. As I was about to put my notebook down, my MVP for this series was Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, I know Mookie Betts had a great argument, but I feel like Teoscar Hernandez had overall some better counting numbers, and I thought he's a better performer. Although Mookie Betts certainly had a great series. Least valuable player, I went with Dylan Cease. I think Dylan Cease definitely could have been better. I mean, Dylan Cease had a top 3 Cy Young caliber season, and unfortunately, we're not really gonna. He didn't bring that into the NLDS with him, and just kind of blew up in the postseason twice, which really hurt the Padres and got them bounced from the playoffs. So that's all I got in this series.
Yeah, definitely after my boy Mookie. I know he had a good series. Getting that.
Any Mookie praise you want to give?
Absolutely. I always give Mookie praise.
I'll give you your shining moment.
He kind of led this Dodgers offense. I think not giving MVP is a little outrageous, but I'll let it slide. So yeah, I hope maybe he can get ring number 3. I'm kind of rooting for him.
So while I was doing my research, he had 18 at bats in this 2024 postseason, 222 average, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, no stolen bases, and an 889 OPS. That's very impressive. I will admit he had a great postseason, and I was very impressed. He finally showed up. But then you have Teoscar Hernandez, who also had 18 at bats, and he had a 333 average, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 1 stolen base, and a 1067 OPS. So while Mookie Betts did have a fantastic series, I thought Teoscar Hernandez did better. And, so I will say that. But, regardless, I think Mookie Betts was fantastic. And, continue with your Mookie praise.
To each his own. I always stand by Mookie. I think he had a great series. I think he's going to carry it on in LCS and then into World Series. And then we win ring number 3.
Absolutely. He's going for ring 3. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, doing it.
Yeah. He's getting that 3rd ring, collecting them like gemstones at this point. But yeah, you can get into your series now.
Yeah, I'll move on to the final series with the recap here, which was the Mets versus the Phillies. Phillies were the home team, and the Mets won it 3-1. The only wild card team to advance to the championship series, which is kind of impressive for the Mets. They're making a run, make it interesting. I think they're the last seed, and now they're the NLCS. So we'll go quick recap. Game 1, Mets won 6-2. Good pitching. We let up 2 runs behind. That was behind a whole bunch of guys. Senga, Peterson, Garrett. Held it down. They shut down this Phillies offense, which is kind of surprising. Then on the offensive side, Vientos had a nice game, and Brendan Nimmo 2 RBIs with him too. So good game for them. And then game 2 was a good one. Phillies won 7-6. Response to the game 1. Not a lot of pitching this one, but Sereno 6 innings, 3 runs, not totally bad for the Mets. And the Phillies, Sanchez 5 innings pitched, 2 runs, so also not bad. But the bullpen kind of fell apart after that. And for offensively, Trey Turner, 2 for 4, 2 runs. And Castellanos had a home run, and 2 RBIs. A good game from him. Then game 3, this was a big game. I feel like in these game 3, even a game of first 3 series, is always important. Take that lead and you're just 1 game away. And then the Mets took advantage behind Chaminade had a dominant outing of 7 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 3 hits. That earned him my MVP. Even though I know Mark Vientos had a great series in this game, he was 2 for 4. I know in the last game he had 2 home runs. I forgot to mention that. So the entire series he was good. Then the final game of the series, game 4, Mets got it done 4-1. Another dominant pitching from the Mets. Quintana had a nice outing, 5 innings pitched, no runs, and 6 strikeouts in the bullpen. Held it down for that. Phillies just kind of got shut down here. I feel like they only that 1 game when they had 7 runs, but outside of that, this offense they couldn't get it done against this Mets pitching, which is surprising because you think, this Phillies, they didn't have to play a wild card series. They're fresh. They were waiting. This Mets team had to play 3 games before this. They had to use their pitching and use their arms. This Phillies, they were just waiting. These guys were resting. They were practicing, just watching these games. So I would think, these Phillies hitters are ready for these guys. And these Mets pitchers would be kind of tired after playing a 3-game series before. It's kind of surprising the Mets were to pull away from this one. For the MVP, I already mentioned it, Chaminade, because he had that big game 3 outing. Even though Mark Vientos did have a nice series, don't sleep on him. I know he was very good. And then LVP, I had to go with JT Realmuto. He couldn't find a hit this series. 4 strikeouts, 3 walks though. He just didn't seem like himself. I feel like there's a lot of other guys like this who just didn't play that well, like Kyle Schwarber. He wasn't very good offensively. Trey Turner was okay. Alec Boehm wasn't that good, but there was just, a lot of guys like this who just didn't live up to it. Just got shut down with this Mets pitching.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the Mets just caught the Phillies napping. It's just like you said. I mean, the Phillies were the better team, and I think they should have been ready. But instead, the Mets were riding the momentum. They were riding the hot hand, like I said before we started recording, and it's just the Mets took advantage, and they had a great series. I mean, Lindor with that grand slam. Sean Manaea had a great performance. Mark Vientos had a really nice series, and the Phillies really should have done better. I mean, this was a team that I think in some people's eyes could have won the World Series, and I would have completely understood that take. But now they're packing their bags, headed home, and I think if you're in the Phillies organization, you should be very disappointed with how this season ended. I mean, it's pretty unacceptable, I think, for their standards, if we're being brutally honest. So, but yeah, those are all the division series and wild card series recapped. We'll go into a preview of the championship series. We only got 4 teams left. We got the Dodgers and the Mets, and then we have the Guardians and the Yankees. And we kind of broke it all down. We talked about these teams. 3 out of 4 of them did, have the bye. And, the Mets are the only wild card team to get here. We'll start with the Guardians versus Yankees. I mean, the Yankees are coming off a solid series. I mean, I think they definitely could have done more. But, at the end of the day, they could have performed better. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton looking like, looking alive is pretty important for this offense. And, they just didn't have their best showing, but they're still here, and that's kind of what makes them dangerous. So, this Yankees team is ready to pounce. I mean, this bullpen it's pretty unbelievable with how many arms they have. And, this offense, I think, can do enough. And then there's the Guardians that are just chaos. I mean, it's kind of like the Tigers template where they can just find ways to win. The pitching they have the best bullpen in baseball in the regular season, and the bullpen still was fantastic. I know Class A wasn't as sharp, but it seems like he's back on his, normal Class A self, and the offense is pretty good. For the Guardians, so I personally think that the Guardians can stack up against the Yankees better than some people think.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it comes down to for the Yankees is you gotta, the MVP's got to wake up. I think Aaron Judge, he was fine in the LDS, but I think he needs to be Aaron Judge in this series to beat these Guardians. He's never been in the World Series, and it's kind of crazy for him. He's been his dominant player. I think he's got to show that he can do it when it matters. So I think it's a big series for Aaron Judge and kind of his legacy. He's the best player on his team. He's the guy. He's gonna win MVP for a second time. Can he do it in the postseason? I think is the question. That's just what's gonna matter in this series. Like you said, the Guardians, they're coming off this 5-game series, maybe a little more fatigued, but I think Aaron Judge is the big thing here.
Yeah, absolutely. So that being said, we'll go with some predictions. I gotta think mine over a little bit, so I'm gonna defer to you. And who do you think ultimately wins this series, and in how many games?
I can't pick the Yankees, so I'm gonna go Guardians. I'm gonna say Guardians in 6.
Okay, Guardians in 6 is fair. Yankees. I don't want to pick the Yankees either. Aaron Judge has had a pretty poor postseason, but Stanton's heating up. I think the Guardians find a way to get it done. I think that the Guardians can pull it out. I'm gonna say Guardians in 7. I think, they are a little bit overmatched, unfortunately. The Yankees, I think, are the better team by a little bit, but I think with that bullpen and how many guys they can go to, and Matthew Boyd looking pretty good, and Tanner Bybee being Tanner Bybee, and Alex Cobb can find it again a little bit. He was good to end the regular season, and Gavin Williams is there as well. I don't know what they want to do with him, but I think the Guardians can just kind of cobble it together and be the David that defeats the Goliath. So I'll say Guardians in 7, and then on the NL side we got the Dodgers and the Mets, and this is a very straightforward analysis on paper. I mean, the Dodgers are just insane. I think if you were to just go chalk, the Dodgers should be able to steamroll the New York Mets. And the Dodgers, they have Shohei, they have Mookie. Mookie was heating up. Will Smith had a good NLDS. Teoscar Hernandez is great. Kike Hernandez, came up with that home run as well. The Dodgers have plenty of pieces, but they've suffered a lot of injuries to that rotation. And, the bullpen's good as well. That bullpen's fantastic. But the Mets, there's just some magic. The Mets are that team with the magic this year. And I think in that aspect, they've had the grimace. They've had all these things. And, the Mets just, they got that dog in them. There's no quit in this team. They don't give up. And I think there's a testament to that. And, yeah, I mean, the Mets just got something that you can't analyze. They have the mojo. They have the hot hand. And I think that they're going to make this series very, very interesting.
I mean, yeah, I think if you look at this series on paper, I mean, the Dodgers are just the better team. There's no doubting the Dodgers are the better team here. They have the better players. Everything's better about the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, what have the Dodgers really proven to us? I mean, they went to
Oh.
5 games against the wild card team, and they're supposed to be this dominant team. They couldn't even get a sweep, or even they had to go to a final game. I just think, and then last year, I mean, I think a lot of years past, we've always seen the Dodgers as this team that's loaded, got to make the World Series at least. That is the expectation, and they just never live up to it. I mean, last year they didn't even make it to NLCS. I'm not sure what this Dodgers team has. What are they about? I know they got Otani, which is new, and they got new additions, other guys like Oscar Hernandez and other stuff, but I don't know. And like you said, the Mets have it. They had this heat. They have this magic, like you said. Momentum. They have it all. They might be, but I fear they're going to be tired a little bit.
I mean, they beat the Phillies in 4.
They beat the Phillies. I mean, we thought in like July that this NLCS was going to be Phillies Dodgers. You saw the standings. You saw that both these teams were pulling away. We're like, oh, these are teams to beat. These things going to happen, and it just didn't happen because these Mets are. They fought, and I don't know. It's going to be close.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a grit and grind kind of series. So I hope the Dodgers go in. I'm rooting for them, but like I said, they haven't proven anything to anyone, since 2020 that they're capable of winning.
So with that being said, what is your prediction?
I'm still have to pick the Dodgers, but I'm going Dodgers in 7.
Okay.
I think the Mets just running a steam. That is it.
Yeah, that's. Oh man, I mean, I want to pick the Dodgers, but like Lindor, man, like Lindor's got something special right now. Quintana's twirling it well. Manaea's pitched well too. Who else am I forgetting on the Mets pitching staff? It's just, I mean, Edwin Diaz is a stud, obviously. Kodai Senga. We'll see how Kodai Senga looks. That'll be really, really interesting. Luis Severino's not bad by any stretch. Oh, man. As much as I want to pick the Dodgers, and I think the Dodgers might ultimately win it. I mean, Pete Alonso has been so clutch this postseason. And you got Jose Iglesias. I mean, the dude's a pop star. He's got the OMG song. Like, yeah, like this dude has just, he's got like the magic touch. And it's unbelievable what this Mets team just has in terms of mojo. So for that reason, I'm gonna go Mets in 7. I think it's gonna be the Mets. I think the magic just keeps going. I think the magic is alive and well.
I don't make that call. I think it's gonna be interesting any way you slice it. I mean, just going over the storylines.
Yeah.
Yankees Dodgers, that's MVP versus MVP. Aaron Judge versus
Yes.
Otani.
Mhm.
You get at Mets Guardians. That's Lindor versus his old team. That's just kind of crazy.
A lot of narratives, yeah.
And then even what was the other? I mean, you get Subway Series, of course. That might be the
Subway
biggest one.
Series, and then you got the Dodgers and Yankees battle of the payrolls.
Yeah. I mean, it's just there's different storylines here.
Although the Mets have
so-
the highest payroll, but that's just because they've traded a lot of it away. So
That's right.
lot of storylines. I mean, this has been a great postseason in terms of just, I think, an even and level playing field. I mean, no team won 100 games this regular season, so I think that's really what created the parity that is the postseason field.
Yeah. And outside the wild card, no team swept the DS series.
No team sweat. Yeah, that's right. I saw a stat that like at one point every division series was tied at 1-1. There was no true dominance in the division series. There was some dominance in the wild card.
And these were close games too.
Close games, yeah. I mean, like, obviously some teams dominated in the wild card, but it's the wild card. It's only 3 games, and yeah, I mean, this postseason is just crazy. I mean, I think any of these Final Four teams could realistically win it, even like the Guardians and the Mets. So, with that being said, that is our postseason recap up to this point. Probably, NLCS probably will be over. or at the tail end, and then it'll be World Series time, and then we'll do just a World Series recap, which will be fun. So, postseason's still chugging along. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. Good episode to just catch up and make sure we're on the same page in the postseason. And we gave you our breakdowns of all the previous series and gave you what's to come in the championship series. So, yeah, we pretty much had all the postseason info in this episode. Any last thoughts, Brendan, before we head out?
I'm just excited to see what happens. I think it's going to be interesting.
True.
Hopefully everyone pays attention because it's going to be a good one.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be a lot of exciting games. So if you got a free evening this week, just turn on one of these games. It's going to be exciting. You got to get your popcorn ready. So, yeah. That'll do it for this episode. Now I'm tempted to get this recording up to an hour. We got 40 seconds left. Is there anything else we can say?
Did we clap it up or anything?
Clap up. We got to do a quick clap up. We clapped up the Drake May debut because it was actually pretty solid. So we could do that on air. You want to do that?
Let's do it. Yeah, Drake May.
And Ravens W. Let's do that.
And Raven.
Yeah. Clap it up. Clap it ups of the week. Try to keep the positivity. So yeah, that's our clap it up as well. Everything you need is in the description, merchandise, social media, and that. We'll see you next time.